Hi, I'm Todd Heitkamp, the owner of Dakota Angler here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, with this week's 2-minute fishing report. Well, folks, this past weekend's weather was anything but a friend to fishermen. Had plenty of wind, plenty of cold, plenty of moisture, whether or not it be rain, and yes, we even saw snow in portions of the state on Saturday as well as Sunday morning. That definitely affected the water temperatures around the area. I mean, many lakes were in the lower to middle 50s, and after the cold weather, it dropped down to the mid 40s and the upper 40s, but it should rebound pretty quick with a little bit of sunshine that we're seeing this week, and temperatures this weekend back closer to normal will definitely help. As far as the bite is concerned, the weather definitely impacted that bite. And really affected the number of people able to get out this past weekend. But a few fish, a few walleyes were being caught up in the northeast, and the lakes included Waubay, Bitter, and remember, Bitter is quite high right now. Water levels are quite high. Enemy Swim, Opitz, Indian Springs, as well as Antelope, Rush, and then also Lake Alice. And down in the southeastern part of the state, those lakes included Ponset, Albert, Thompson, 81 Ponds, Sinai, Madison, Brant, Twin Lakes, which is the trophy lake again, and then also Beaver and Henry WPA. And Henry WPA, you got to sort quite a bit to catch your keepers. Other than that, the Missouri River continues to do well up and down the river, and a lot of guys now have been switching over to pulling bottom bouncers and spinners, especially with crawlers and even leeches right now. But again, the water temperature has definitely been playing a role with that. Otherwise, as far as what's been working with the walleyes across the area lakes, still a lot of jigs and minnows, jigs and plastics. And then from boats, guys are again beginning to switch over to bottom bouncers and spinners to cover a lot more lake, more water, like we talked about in previous weeks with the weather. But right now, the predominant bite is jigs and live bait as well as plastics. And then the crappie bite around the area definitely continues. It's also been impacted by the weather. The lakes that produced crappie this past week included Thompson, Sinai, Ponset, Madison, Brant, Beaver, as well as Henry down by Scotland. In this week's version of Todd's Tackle Tips, well, folks, we put it to the vote. We put it on a Facebook poll, and people wanted to learn a little bit more about forecasting wind. And so we're going to talk about that this week, and we'll continue on with the weather theme. And honestly, as a meteorologist, it is very difficult to forecast wind. You'll definitely hear a lot of people talk about, if they're in the weather business, how difficult it is to forecast wind. All wind is the difference between high and low pressure systems. The greater the difference, the stronger the wind. And that's usually why the wind is stronger right after a cold front passes or sweeps through the area and high pressure is building into the area. So again, it's always key in trying to forecast that difference between the high and low pressure system. So we'll give a forecast, but a lot of times people don't realize, and I'll say most of the time, people don't realize the forecast that you hear on TV or on radio or on websites is the wind speed forecasted for on land, not on a body of water. And the wind speed is always stronger on that body of water or near that body of water. The bigger the body of the water, the more influence that actually has. And the reason why is because of the friction effect. There's very little friction out on that body of water, and so it will actually cause the wind to speed up quite a bit. So what I always tell people, if we forecast a wind speed of, let's say, 10 to 15 miles an hour, 10 to 20 miles an hour, add 5 to 10 miles an hour on top of that at least when you're out on that body of water. Because again, as that wind goes over that lake, there's no friction, it will speed up, and once it hits land, there's the friction, and it will cause the wind to slow down. So again, wind forecasting, wind speed forecasting, wind direction forecasting can be tricky. But always, when you're looking at the forecast of whether or not you want to take the boat out, always add 5 to 10 miles an hour on top of the forecast that you hear, and you'll get somewhat of an accurate forecast. Not always. I'm not going to say it's 100% foolproof, but still it gives you a better idea. And that's what's going on behind it. And that's probably the most difficult thing that we forecast for as weather forecasters is the wind itself. Now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember, folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, please send it to me. Send it to Todd at DakotaAngler.com or post it to our Facebook wall. And if I use your photo, your name will be entered into a monthly drawing for a $25 gift certificate. And folks, before we end this week's report, I want to remind you that, yes, obviously we're continuing on with the COVID situation across the entire nation, and I hope this report finds all of you safe and sound and healthy, and hopefully that continues. And as the state begins to reopen, so to speak, that if you still would like us to provide you with curbside service, we will be more than happy to accommodate that request. All you have to do is give us a call at 605-336-9132, and we'll take care of you at that point in time. I also encourage you that if you can't make it to the store here in Sioux Falls, check us out on the web at dakotaangler.com. Our entire inventory is listed on the web, and it makes shopping real easy, and we'll ship it out to you the next day. And if you do shop with us, and when you receive that product and you start fishing with it, please provide some reviews of that product. It definitely helps out us as far as research is concerned, but also helps out future shoppers with what people are recommending around the area. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report. For Dakota Angler, I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on! We'll see you next time. And again, folks, stay healthy. Take care.